Forgiveness and acceptance, I attribute that 100% to the women in my life. I believe women have this innate ability, their instinctual ability is one of their superpowers, is the ability to forgive and the ability to accept. The ability that women have to forgive people, I think, is incredibly important. And I think it's incredibly important that we as men try to learn that from women, that they have that to offer, as well as many other things, but this ability to forgive. Because I think as men, we have more of this tribal instinct of revenge and an eye for an eye, or whatever you've done to my ancestors, whatever you've done to my lineage, I hold that anger. I hold that chip on my shoulder that one day I will get my revenge. I think that's more the instincts that men have. But for women, if you look at history, they have to forgive. It's not only they have to forgive, I think it's they do choose to forgive in a lot of instances, but I believe if women didn't have this ability for forgiveness, we would cease to exist as the human race ultimately. Because think about the atrocities of women essentially throughout history, the suppression, I don't want to be too vulgar, but when you think about war and you think about tribes taking over tribes, or countries taking over other countries, empires taking over other empires, it's the women are the ones who are slaughtered and raped and used as sex slaves and this sort of thing. I was trying to work around words, but the men are killed and used as slaves and labor essentially too, but the women, this is repeatedly, they are at the mercy of the men for the entirety of our history and the entirety of the human race. So they have this ability to forgive men and forgive men of the past for what they have done repeatedly, time and time and time again. And if you look at history repeating itself, it's likely you can infer a conclusion, if you look at history, that similar things will happen. So their ability to accept and forgive men for so many atrocities, I think that is so unique, and it is more unique to women than it is men. But I think taking that from women and understanding and learning from them in that sense is how I have tried to learn acceptance and forgiveness ultimately, is because some of the hardships of women in my life, some of the things that they have dealt with, and learning them, it's easy to hear the stories and hear things that happen to women and go, yeah, I'll go to jail if that happened to my daughter. No matter what the consequences are, no matter if I'm taken out, if my head is put on a stake, if something like that happened to my daughter, I'm seeking revenge. I think that's instinctual for men, but I think it's more important to try to take a step back and not let emotions and anger be the first thing that takes the light essentially, and rampages through and rampages as the actions of revenge and an eye for an eye and this sort of thing, this reactionary revenge. I think humanity as a whole, we need to evolve out of reactionary revenge, or this sort of seeking revenge for past things. And I think, yes, sure, that's easier to say as the white man. Yeah, for sure it is. But if we continue down this path of one tribe or one empire having the power, and then once they collapse, the other people seek revenge, and then the other people seek revenge, I think we've got to a point technologically with our advanced weaponry that we cannot continue to live with these tribal instincts, of revenge and seeking revenge. I truly believe we are at the precipice of needing to evolve out of that at all costs, because we're at the point where if some of the tribal instincts, some of the tribal emotions take the lead, we will essentially destroy humanity and destroy the earth in the blink of an eye. I think that's kind of the stakes that we're at. So essentially the broad message we'll take out of that little story is we need to incorporate and learn from the great women in our lives and this divine feminine nature of forgiveness and acceptance, and use that and take it not only on a broad scale of how the world works, but on a personal level as well, and use that forgiveness and that acceptance, those techniques in your own life to propel yourself into a better human, a better civilian of society.